This was more accessible to my tiny simpleton brain. Hi, welcome to Gunpowder Fictional Plot. That's Nell.
And that's Scott. We're going to do a book haul, which we've never done before, because I didn't think that I bought that many books. But then I separated my shelves into books that I had before Christmas and all the books that I've bought this year so far.
Which is a problem, because I know you've not read anywhere near this number of books.
No, this is... I've just... If you watch, I really like Drinking by My Shelves balancing the books and the way she approaches...
She combines hauls with wraps.
Yeah, and her aim is to shrink her TBR over time, so she aims to never buy more books than she reads, which is really super smart if you don't want your entire house to be like bookshelves.
Who doesn't want that?
But I clearly do, because I have bought well more books than I have read.
Alright, we're going to start with the trilogy, aren't we?
We are. This was a gift, so this wasn't entirely a Nelle acquisition, but it's the Mad Adam trilogy by Margaret Atwood. I have already started Oryx and Crake. I'm so excited. What this did make me realise is there's not actually that many Margaret Atwood books in her entire bibliography. And so now it's my mission to acquire all the ones I don't already have and read my way through her entire works.
And you've gotten into this because I recently read Oryx and Crake and loved it.
And you keep raving about it. This one is another one that I picked up because Scott was talking about it. It is Rebecca by, how do I say this?
Daphne du Maurier.
Daphne du Maurier. This sounds creepy, and I got it at a secondhand bookshop for $8.
I read this book, I didn't know it was creepy, and the creepiness snuck up on me.
Ooh, a sneak creep.
Yeah, I thought that this book was like out of Jane Austen, sort of Pride and Prejudice sort of style book, and had a bit of a different, and then it really
did?
Yeah, I actually, the longer it's been since I've read this book, the higher my opinion of it gets.
Ooh, slow burn.
Which I think is a sign of a really good book.
I agree. I've just decided that at the end of this video, you're going to have to pick which book I read out of this selection next.
I've already put them over there. Should I?
But I'm reading Oryx and Crake already. So what am I going to read after Oryx and Crake?
Oh, well, this one's winning so far.
This one is our
it's our book club book April.
For April. So I picked it up in advance of that. It's called The Five. It is the untold story of the women who Jack the Ripper killed. I really like the idea of reframing violence against women to be about the women and the victims rather than spending so much time talking about the men who murder them, because the men who murder them do not deserve to go down in history. Whereas these women, I'm very interested to learn all about them. I actually suggested it for our book club because I saw it when I was stalking Lauren Wade on Goodreads, and she 5-starred this. So
I was really surprised this book won because
it's non-fiction.
It's non-fiction, and you'd also picked Dark Emu, which, if you're not Australian, you won't have heard of Dark Emu, but it came into the news recently with a bit of controversy, and it reframes the history of the Australian Aboriginals in a way that points out how they've been misrepresented through history, and it's created a bit of a stir here and upset all the Nazis. So that is that is what I thought would win.
And I haven't bought Dark Emu yet, but it is on my wish list. This one you bought for me.
I just think that this is going to win for the book that I have to pick for you, because you will love this book. Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett is a dark comedy Samuel Beckett, I want to say he's Irish and French, so I don't know whether he's Irish, French, or what's going on there. Why is my brain's not quite working? But this is a dark comedy about atheism, nihilism, God, the meaning of life, losing one's shoe. It is very much, I want to say it's in the style of Chekhov, but better. It's such a book. If you like,
I've got to say, I'm reading all these quotes on the back from other authors about Waiting for Godot. It is possible that consciously or unconsciously, Beckett is restating the moral and sexual basis of Christianity, which was lost with Christ. Norman Mailer. It's very interesting.
I think,
and it's only 111 pages because it's
a play.
A play. So I will be very happy to read that little recommendation by my husband.
I think
Also, books are good gifts for wives. Screw flowers.
I got you flowers last
You
weekend.
did. I loved them, but books.
I think this is a dark comedy for people who like Russian literature, even though it's not Russian literature.
Yeah,
I
it does.
think it's in that vein, that style.
It does sound very
And it's definitely
Chekhovian.
a comedy.
We both like dark comedies, so that's up there. Homegoing. I picked Homegoing because we did the geography tag, and I noticed that my the origin of a lot of my authors was very white bread European sort of background.
So you're trying to smash out of that.
So I'm trying to break out of that and get some African writers in, and Yazi I think is Ghanese. So Ghanaian?
Ghana Publian.
From Ghana. From Ghana. And Homegoing is there you go. It sounds really interesting. Two sisters, two very different destinies. One sold into slavery, one a slave trader's wife. So it's called Homegoing, and I haven't picked that up yet, but I'm very keen to read that. The other one that I picked up to broaden my horizons, it's not the word I'm looking for, influences, is Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi. I just can't say it. Can someone give me a hand? This is another one that was on Lauren Wade's channel in her 30 books that she recommended when she turned 30. So it's this, the author is from Nigeria, and it is set in the Civil War and sounds just beautiful.
She has another book. It's like an essay called "We Should All Be Feminists," which went a bit ballistic. Very
also
short.
sounds good.
I've not read it, but it comes highly recommended from the same
Lauren
channel,
Wade.
Lauren Wade. Yeah. Also, I think it got recommended on Jean's channel too.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me. Especially we've discovered that they run the Feminist Orchestra Book Club together, which is just my idea of heaven. Silke's Journey I picked up when we were at the shops the other day because I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and while that wasn't my favourite book in the world, I was really interested with the character Silke. I was also interested in, if you read the epilogue, to learn that Silke was actually prosecuted for war crimes, and that really intrigued me. It disturbed my sense of fairness, and it upset me. So when I found out that Heather Morris had written her story as well, I knew that this would potentially be more interesting to me than The Tattooist of Auschwitz. So I have acquired it, have since read some not so crash hot reviews, so I'm hoping that it's better than those reviews imply.
Hopefully it is.
Onto a couple that I've already read since I've hauled them. The Night Circus. This was our book club book for March.
We haven't had our book club meeting yet.
No, but I smashed through this book. It was just so beautifully written. I read it in a couple of days. It's so atmospheric and just immersive. And evocative. I really, really loved the world that was created. I thought that the conflict of the plot does not seem urgent. And I think that if you go in expecting high drama, you will be disappointed. But if you go in expecting a beautiful story, then you'll get one.
Cinnamon apples.
Cinnamon apples. You want to say something?
About this book? We're going to do a review of this book, aren't we?
We are going to do a full review of this book, and we have done a full review of The Night Circus as well.
Just awaiting editing.
Yeah.
This is a good book.
This is a good book. I picked this up a long time ago on e-reader, and then my e-reader broke. And then you were...
I read The Secret History, and while... I should say I really did like The Secret History, but while I didn't find it an amazing book, I knew that I liked Donna Tartt from The Secret History. I could just tell that she was an author that I would happily read the entire back catalogue of. You know, sometimes you really like a story, and sometimes you can tell that you like the writing and you want to read more. And that was what
And I just remember you telling me how smart she was over and over again.
Oh my god, the references in A Secret History. So, just before A Secret History, I read The Odyssey and the Iliad by Homer. And I knew that it was translated by Richard Latimer. And then to find the next book that I read to include Richard Latimer as a joke, as the punchline, to realise that I only got that by sheer coincidence was... yeah, I just...
A bit shocking, yeah.
You realise that if I'm only getting that line there, that how much am I missing? Like, there is so much in that book. I felt with this book I got more of it, and it was a simpler and lighter story. It was not as dark as Secret History.
Ooh, that's interesting. That makes me want to read A Secret History.
Yeah, I thought it might.
So this follows the life story of Theo Decker. I've just seen on the back by the Daily Mail, which makes me think that the Daily Mail is clearly trash, a Dickensian dazzler. Is that just because it's long? Puh.
It's got a twisting storyline.
Tosh.
You're stealing all of my words.
Way better than Dickens.
Highly recommended by Stephen King, this one.
Yes, look, I love a book that makes you use another book to get the point. Just the cross-references and the cross-references. It's beautiful.
And you could reread that one 20 times and still get more.
Yes, definitely. And I will reread it at some point, but please don't choose it for my next read, because I will cry.
Read it twice.
What else have we got?
Oh, you've got a big pile. Why are you picking it in order? Just grab
I'm
one.
just grabbing them. John Paul Sartre, I saw this in...
Secondhand bookshop.
And it was very much a spur of the moment grab. Cost me $6 buckaroos.
That's about £3 or $3 because they're the same currency, yeah?
Apparently.
I just know that when we change our currency into
We lose half.
real, it's not worth anything. Here, have these beads as well.
I bought this because of the name of the author, not because of the name of the book, ultimately.
Do you want to tell people about Sartre, or do they know? They know.
They know.
He's like Nietzsche, but not Nietzsche. If you don't know, Nietzsche was Freud, but not Freud.
And Scott was a simpleton. Love in the Time of Cholera, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I bought this because you keep talking about
100 Years of
Solitude. And again, it was a
I actually prefer this to 100 Years of Solitude, but 100 Years of Solitude is clearly the
more well-known book.
No, This was more accessible to my tiny simpleton brain. So I enjoyed this more, but I could tell that 100 Years of Solitude had... I read a review on Goodreads for 100 Years of Solitude saying, I can feel my brain growing another wrinkle in order to expand. And
that's good.
Geez, my brain is lazy.
I would not normally pick up something with the word love in the title, to be honest. Again, I think I've picked this because of the author more than necessarily anything I know about the individual book. But I am keen because the more I learn...
I actually really want you to try anything in the magic realism series style, whether it's Water for Chocolate or The Alchemist or Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I think that is a genre that you need to read, and you will thank me for forcing you to read it, even though you've ignored my constant read it.
Well, you have the power, so you can choose my next book.
I can.
You can. Could be that one. I'd like you to not choose this one because this is a sequel and I don't know.
No, it's not. This is the first one.
Oh, this is the first one. So this is The Cuckoo's Calling. We have this by accident. We got 2 copies for a present and we gave away the better condition one. This is A Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. I'm not hugely into funding people who are transphobic, but apparently she does talk about gender issues in the follow-up to this. So now I'm really curious to see what she says about trans characters in her...
She has a trans character in The Silkworm.
Yeah, which is the follow-up to this book. So I'm going to read this so I can get to that so that I can judge her for her trans opinions. That's really what I want to do. And we'll definitely be making a video about that once I get to that.
PI detective, murder mystery, very good, lots of swearing. I got a new version of this for my mum for Christmas because she was reading the complete works of Agatha Christie, and I thought I wanted to buy her a book, and I thought I would get her this because it was a modern detective series and she loved it. So, yeah.
This is another one you got me. We were going through a phase of buying skinny books for me because I was really struggling to get back into the swing of reading every day, and the win of finishing a book is definitely a motivator. So I think that's one of the reasons why you got me this.
This is a weird buy for me because
it's so teeny.
Mitch Albom, I don't like his books. I don't like his writing. He's not for my taste, and I don't think Nell will like him either. But Maury...
Great.
I've bought your book at it anyway. No. But Maury... Mitch Albom was a reporter, and a lot of his books are sort of non-fiction journalism. And Maury is a school teacher, a university lecturer that taught him. And he found out that Maury had a terminal illness and started visiting him every Tuesday. And this is a series of interviews and reports with Maury, who is a very interesting and lovable character who is exactly the sort of person that Nell would want to be friends with. And in the end, I super enjoyed it because of the Maury character, even though I think Mitch Albom is not the sort of writer that I like, or not the sort of person I'd like to be friends with. But Maury is, and...
Well, that sounds interesting.
It quite conflicted my opinion, but you will like the character.
So the next two I got because of my bestie, Kate. The first one is Albert Camus' The Plague. We're all bunkering down for coronavirus, and this is about the bubonic plague, I think. Kate's a bit of a...
She's been warning you about Ebola for 20 years.
She has. She's a bit of a novice. I I don't want to say immunologist, but she's really interested in infection and pandemics and that sort of thing. So it doesn't surprise me that she picked this up. She said it was funny, which is probably an indicator of the level of blackness in her humour rather than whether this is actually funny. But she definitely said enough things about it to intrigue me as to what made her laugh. So this is a read that I'm reading to learn more about my bestie rather than necessarily read about the book.
Also, Camus was half Algerian, half French, so it gets you Algerian representation.
Ooh, another country on my map. I'm pretty sure this will be another country on my map too, because
Cuba.
This is The Motorcycle Diaries, which is another Katie recommendation.
Does she like being called Katie?
No, she hates it. Sorry, Chubbs. It's a travel diary by Che Guevara, which makes my travel bug communist heart very happy. I don't know anyone who's read this. Kate recommended it for our book club, but I don't think she's read it yet. It is very exciting. Isn't that exciting to you?
It's so weird. I'm so curious as to what this book.
It says on the back, Easy Rider meets Das Kapital, the Times. Like, who could not be excited by that? In January 1952, two young men from Buenos Aires set out to explore South America on La Poderosa, the powerful one, a 500cc Norton. One of them was 23-year-old Che Guevara. Written 8 years before the Cuban Revolution, these are Che's diaries, full of disasters and discoveries, high drama, low comedy, and laddish improvisations. I'm a little bit scared that there might be some misogyny and homophobia going on here, but I am excited to read it. My next one is Never Let Me Go by
Ishiguro.
Kazuri.
If you could show me.
I don't know if there's an R in it. It's Kazuo.
Ishiguro is how you say the last name.
I would love some education in how all of you amazing booktubers pronounce everyone's name correctly. Do you go onto Google and press the little button to make the lady say? Do you know what I'm saying? Like the little.
Yes, Siri. How do you pronounce Ishiguro?
Yeah, I know. Help. So this is a Booker Prize winner. A gothic tour de force, apparently, says the New York Times. Never Let Me Go, a novel. Winner of the Nobel Prize in Literature. Jeepers.
I got this for you. As part of your short books.
Ooh. This is another shorty to get me going.
Yeah. We watched, there's a Keira Knightley movie.
Oh, this is the one that the movie.
But this is a good book.
That was the movie where they were... Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. This is a sort of book...
The movie was interesting in concept, but a bit shit in execution.
Well, this is the concept.
So, hopefully this is good.
It's the sort of book that actually will be really boring if you didn't get it.
I hope I get it.
So
this is recommended by Katie over at Books and Things, and I think quite popular in BookTube videos in general. I think most people have read this, rave about it.
A lot of the adult BookTube channels, I mean adult as opposed to YA.
Not as in pornographic.
Yeah. I meant not as in children. I was all the people 24 and over.
Every time someone says adult books, I think of, adult books. Orwell, I think it is a slow project of mine to read everything. So I've picked up one that I don't have, and that is Burmese Days, which I have no idea what to expect with this, but I do think Orwell and Margaret Atwood I would like to read all of in the next couple of years. I think that's a really reasonable goal.
Also, if you like Orwell, you like Atwood and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair call.
I think maybe that's even on a video that we've uploaded.
maybe. Link in the description.
It's about Burma or Myanmar. It's
that sounds interesting.
It's about colonialism.
I love an exotic locale, and I also love it when That's thrown in my whitey white face when I'm told off for my colonialism in the same sentence. It's perfect. My Dark Vanessa, I pre-ordered and got as soon as it came out because of the rave reviews by Murphy Napier. It is the story of a girl who has a romantic relationship with her teacher in her teen years, and who later finds out that he has been accused by several women of sexual misconduct, and that I'm not actually sure. Anyway, she begins to start to reframe her first sexual relationship in the context of rape, potentially. And this sounds so interesting to me because for some women, an experience where the man is clearly a rapist, their experience is not necessarily one of rape. And sometimes that... this sounds really interesting, and it sounds like it is painted with a very delicate brush. So I am very much looking forward to what this says about the politics of consent and the realities of consent. Yeah.
It sounds very Lolita to me, but...
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think that's where it's going to land.
Well, I'd be very excited to read that one. In fact, I will read that one. I'm very excited to read that one too.
So you've got piles in front of you. Oh my god, I have no idea what I'm going to read. I thought he was going to do like a battle royale and I'd see which one was winning at any given time.
I was going to knock one out as we go, but I know which one I'm going to pick. It's really obvious the one that you will enjoy the most, with most certainty, and it's Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot.
Oh, you said when I picked it up that was going to win.
Yeah, it's an easy read, it's a quick read, and there is no way on this planet that you will hate that book. It will be one of your favourites when you finish reading it.
Alright, you can pick another one because it's short.
Ooh.
You get 2.
I get 2. Well, now I need to go through them. I've put some back, but I've put back the Margaret Atwood books and you're reading them. The 5 which you're going to read in the Night Circus. Right. Well, I'm not going to give you Silver's Journey. Goodbye. You said I'm not allowed to pick The Cuckoo's Calling. And you said I'm not allowed to pick The Goldfinch because you've just read that. So we've got it a bit smaller already. This is a bit difficult.
Ooh, I like the way you make choices.
Gonna get rid of Satra. Not interested in Satra. Gonna get rid of Burmese Days by Orwell. Sorry, George. Gonna get rid of The Plague. Now, what do we get it down to? We got it down to...
Just 10 books.
3, 6... No, there's only 8 here. Alright. Tuesday's Maury is gone.
He's gonna pick like the epic, most longest one because
My Dark Vanessa is gone.
Oh, I thought that might win.
You thought that might win.
So that you could read it after I was done.
I'm going to get rid of your African representation altogether. Goodbye Motorcycle Diaries. Alright. Which one of these 3?
This is really...
Never Let Me Go. Rebecca. Love in the Time of Cholera.
They're all ones that I've gotten because of him.
Really? Well, clearly I agree with my opinion.
Because you bought me that one, and I bought this one because you were raving about 100 Years of Solitude, and this one, you just read it when I bought it.
I'm going to get rid of this one. I really think you should read Magical Realism, but this is the weakest of the books.
Da-na-na-na.
Hasumi Shigeru.
Yes! I'm excited. So these are my next 2. I'm going to finish Oryx and Crake. My aim is to finish that by this weekend. And then I'm going to read these 2. And then I need to crack on to some Les Mis to meet my reading goals for this month. So I've got 2 weeks to read these 2 and
I reckon you
a big
could.
chunk of Les Mis.
I reckon tonight, it's what is it? it's already 10 o'clock. I reckon you could take a break, come back in 2 hours' time and finish that.
And finish Godot.
We can do a midnight video and do a review. I will finish the book I am reading. Or
I like this idea. This is a good idea. So we'll be back in 2 hours with a new video. Waiting for Godot.
Bye. Maybe it'll be tomorrow morning. We'll see.
We'll see.
Oh, we've been Gunpowder, Fiction and Plot. Remember, ideas are more powerful.
More powerful than setting any kind of budget for buying books.
Or remembering outros.